It was back in November that Panthers owner David Tepper made it very clear he was not happy. He was really, really not happy. Carolina had just lost to the Atlanta Falcons 29-3. They fell to 5-5. He let everybody know at that point that was not okay, that he was not going to accept that. He had a conversation with the media, and while the conversation was for context only, and he did not want to be quoted directly, he said the first thing he cares about is winning. He also made it clear the second thing he cares about is winning. The third thing he cares about is winning. He also made it pretty clear he does not like mediocrity. He does not like mediocrity without an ending. And here's the one time that he did go on the record. Tepper said during that session, quote, "Every time we have a loss, my mood is bleepy." End of quote. So a few weeks after that, he made the move to move on from Ron Rivera. That's how much losing bothered him. He was moving on from a head coach who is pretty much universally respected, but Tepper wanted a change. Now compare that, for instance, with what Jerry Jones has done. Compare that with Jerry Jones's approach to mediocrity. Tepper seems to be disgusted and enraged by it. Jones, on the other hand, seems to be just fine with mediocrity. I mean, they're barely over 500 since the year 2000. Jason Garrett had 3 straight seasons of 8-8 and kept coming back the following year. Hell, if the word mediocrity came to life, it would be Jason Garrett on the sideline clapping his ass off. So no wonder David Tepper and Jerry Jones went about their coaching searches in different manners. Tepper moved on from Rivera during the season so he could get a head start on a new head coach. Didn't even wait until the end of the season. Jones, on the other hand, let his guy twist for an entire week, had himself a sleepover, and then he got around to making a decision. Tepper gets Matt Rhule. Jones gets Mike McCarthy. So if David Tepper's mood is pretty bleepy when he loses, it must be pretty damn good right now because he won. He got over. He got the guy who nobody thought would be his guy. Now, that's not to say that Matt Rhule is guaranteed to be a success in Carolina. I'm not going to say he's a surefire lock to have a better record in Carolina than Mike McCarthy will in Dallas. I mean, there are a lot of coaches who've had success in college and then flamed out in the NFL. Because what it takes to be a great college coach and what it takes to be a great NFL coach are different things. The players are different. How you get players is different. The job is different. Now, Rhule has had a taste of the NFL. He got it as an assistant with the Giants under Tom Coughlin. He learned from that time. He's obviously a really bright guy, and he's not coming in completely blind. He's interviewed for NFL head coaching jobs before. He knows it's different. I would argue Rhule has done a brilliant job of setting this all up. Again, I'm not saying this guy is a stone-cold lock for success. Carolina has got some decisions they've got to make, starting with the one at quarterback. But I'm going to say this. Well, let me say this first. I hope this guy brings that smock with him because the NFL needs more signature looks on the sideline like that. But the thing is, he was supposed to rock that smock in New York. He was supposed to be the Giants guy. This was supposed to be a matter of doing a courtesy interview with the Panthers and then getting on to New York where he'd sign the line that was dotted and he'd be their new head coach. And it all made sense, right? He's from New York. He had already been an assistant in New York. The reporting had always been that if he was going to leave college for the NFL, it was going to be for New York. But he never even got there because Tepper and his team must have done something pretty exceptional, something pretty aggressive, something pretty impressive to keep Rhule from getting on a plane and going to New York to interview because that never actually happened. And the fact that Rhule has got all this leverage and roots in New York and used to work for that team and still didn't even think it was worth the trouble to get on a plane to talk to the Giants tells you all you need to know about Tepper and his ability to close. And it tells you all you need to know about how jacked up the Giants are. You know, once the league's model of stability and respect. And they couldn't even get a college coach who used to work for them to come in and talk with them. Like, never mind taking the job, they couldn't even get this guy to talk to them about the job. So, exactly how the hell did Carolina get this guy? What just happened? How did Carolina pull this off? And just as importantly, what the hell are the Giants going to do right now? About an hour ago, I was thinking to myself, do they even have a plan B? Because they weren't supposed to lose this race. Hell, it wasn't even supposed to be a race. I'm sure the Panthers, or I'm not sure they've ever looked better, but I know the Giants have never looked worse. Again, getting over and getting Rhule does not guarantee success. But Tepper comes off like a guy who had a plan. When he moved on from Rivera, he worked that plan, he found the guy he wanted, and he wouldn't let him go. So enough of this nonsense that once Jerry Jones gets to the sleepover phase, he's not losing his new love. Yeah, like Mike McCarthy was ever going to say no to the Cowboys. That doesn't make Jera some badass closer. That deal was not hard to close. Tepper, though, locking Rhule up before he could even talk to the Giants is impressive. It tells you a hell of a lot about Tepper. And what's that say about the Giants? Not much. Not much at all. Because for as weird as the Cowboys coaching situation was, the Giants has been even more bizarre. Now they're looking at their third head coach in 5 years. Their GM has taken all sorts of heat for just about everything, and now they've lost their guy to the Panthers. The only less inspiring choice than Mike McCarthy in Dallas would be Jason Garrett in New York. And I love it. I want it to happen. Except apparently it's not going to happen. It's not. You know what the Giants are? They're like the new Triple U. Uninspired, unimaginative, uncreative. Add to it unoriginal, uninventive, unexceptional, and crappy. Bunch of U's and one C. Come on, Giants fan. Think about this. You've got a possible franchise quarterback in Daniel Jones. You've got a possible generational back in Saquon Barkley if you use him correctly. You've got the 4th pick in the NFL draft. You've got enormous cap space, but you couldn't even get a sit down with a dude who once worked for you. What the hell is wrong here? But at least you are ramping up the analytics and the technology department, right? I'll give you that, Gets. The IT guy, the computer guys. Or maybe the Giants do have their man. Maybe they had another guy in mind all along. Maybe their man is Patriots wide receiver coach Joe Judge. It's great. Maybe they didn't want Matt Rhule. Here's a tweet from Adam Schefter. Quote, New York Giants are finalizing a deal to make Patriots wide receiver coach Joe Judge their next head coach. League sources tell ESPN. Deal was in the works as of last night, which is another reason why Matt Rhule took the Panthers head coaching job. Well, I know that Judge is a name that had come up for the Mississippi State job. I know that Judge has been making a name for himself, and I don't want to judge a coach by one game or even one season. But what did you see from the Patriots wide receivers this year that made you think, man, that's our guy? We got to lock this guy up. Let's give this guy the key to our franchise. Like, if anything, the reason the Patriots are not playing this coming weekend is because of their receivers. Like, if you wanted Josh McDaniels, I get that. But instead, you get a guy who worked for McDaniels, coaching one of the weak spots, one of the liabilities on that team. And not only that, but you really want everybody to know that deal was in the works last night, which is why Matt Rhule took the Panthers head coaching job. All right. Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You had a deal with Judge last night, which is why Rhule took the Carolina job. So what we're led to believe then is you stiffed Rhule. He didn't stiff you. Rhule had to go with the second choice, Carolina, because he was your second choice after Joe Judge. In other words, he didn't snub you, you snubbed him. But you didn't announce it until after everybody was all over Rhule going to Carolina. Okay, I got it. Makes perfect sense. And the guy you wanted all along was not the guy who had been your assistant in the past, who had had success with 2 different college programs. It's the guy who was coaching one of the worst units in the NFL. But that's the guy you wanted all along, not the guy everybody thought you wanted all along. All right, great. If it works for you, Hey, look, I'm not saying the Judge is guaranteed to be a failure. There are guys who have seemed like strange choices at the time who've gone on to be really successful. The truth is, most head coaching hires are a bit of a crapshoot. But this one, for the Giants, seems like an even bigger crapshoot than ever before. And again, they will have you believe we got the guy we wanted. That was our first choice, and that's why the other guy's in Carolina. All right, whatever you say.